Welcome to the B.A.D podcast. Today we have a paranormal investigator joining us, Jim Stehley from Shadows of the Unknown Paranormal.
How are you doing today, Jim?
I'm doing good.
Good. So, how did you get started, into the paranormal hunting and stuff like that?
I started when I had my first experience when I was 12 years old. I've been chasing it ever since.
Can you explain, your first encounter when you were 12?
It was my first encounter, yes. It's just, it's all in white mist, and I don't know what it was.
What's the scariest encounter you've ever had?
Well, you guys already know this story. You probably know about Boston Cemetery.
Yes.
And everything. Boston Cemetery, I was up there one night with some friends joining a new investigator, and there was no wind that night. That door slammed.
Wow. How often do you, go out on these paranormal hunts?
Mostly when we get called in, or we look into a location and look the location and see what we can find.
Do you do, a lot of locals, or do you go everywhere?
Pretty much, we are now scattered through the state of Pennsylvania. We are now going to receive a district to Utah, which I believe is in charge of that over there. We do Maryland, Ohio, Delaware, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, and Washington.
And then from the Utah side, you have Idaho, Wyoming, and I believe it's also Nevada, because we're surrounded by them as well.
What's the scariest encounter you've had out in Nevada?
I haven't gone out to Nevada just yet. Like Jim stated, we just got done expanding out here. So there's not, the thing is, we haven't gone out that far just yet. I know there are some places out there, but the scariest place out here in Utah, we have a place called Skinwalker Ranch. It's basically, that's been bought and sold over the periods of time. And yeah, that would be the scariest place here.
So you guys basically now have two teams, one set here and then one up in the Wyoming area.
Well, the thing is, it's more of it's one team. We just expanded.
Okay.
Can you tell us
we would. Okay.
Can you tell us a little more about your team?
The team started back in 2005. I took over the team in 2020. We started as a three-man group and expanded into bigger since I took it over and everything. So it's making it better and better every day. So more people to help.
Our team is also is made up of people that are willing to help. What would the word I'd be looking for, Jim?
Not much for on here.
Basically, people that are in trouble of hauntings or of and believe it or not, possessions. And I'd have to honestly say possessions is something that's very truly scary when it happens to someone. Possessions, they can become very dangerous. So that's our very high level case. Our cases are color coded as if we were like a street light. We have code green, which really isn't that severe, but it's severe enough to still investigate. And then you go to like a yellow, which is more mild than a green, and then you have our code red, which would mean obviously possession. Have I personally done exorcisms? I've done enough of them. I know what they are. I know what they're like. Can some of them be unpredictable? Of course.
So have you witnessed these exorcisms and stuff like that?
Not only have I witnessed them, but I've also done them.
Ooh.
The thing with exorcisms are, like I said, first of all, very dangerous. They can also be very deadly. Not just very dangerous or deadly to the person you're exorcising, but to the people that are in the room. Because again, you don't know what you're dealing with inside another person. There's a lot of signs to knowing if somebody's possessed. Most common is, they start saying things they usually would never say. They start off eating things that they really shouldn't, or that they've never eaten, like rotten meat or drink sour milk. Those are just a couple of examples, but I've actually done a couple where I have actually lost a couple of victims to an exorcism because the spirit that was inside the person had become too strong to keep the person alive. It just took over their whole body.
How often do you have people come up to you saying that like all this stuff you do is like fake and like it's kind of crazy how you guys do it?
Jim, let me see if I can answer that. I'd actually be talking to somebody about what we do because they seem very interested, and then I'll have somebody else say the next minute, well, that I'm very skeptical about it. So I kind of explain it to them this way. If you believe in Bigfoot, if you believe in aliens, they're the same thing. It's all paranormal. And if I'm correct, the definition of paranormal are things that can't be really explained or identified. Same thing as if you saw a UFO. A UFO just stands for an unidentified flying object. But it's like this. If you believe in Bigfoot and you believe in aliens, you're obviously going to believe in definitely something else. That would include the spirits that are here, that are around. Yeah.
Do you guys work with? You don't just work with yourselves, do you, or do you work with like other paranormal groups?
I don't work with them more.
We don't work. How would I say this, Jim? We don't work very well with other teams.
We have different aspects of how they do investigations. Some people are different.
Right. Right. So the other thing is the other reason why we don't look at other teams for help is there can only be we'd rather have maybe a certain amount of people on a case, so that way our I'll call scene of the problem doesn't become contaminated.
Have you ever had a group member like attack during one of your cases?
I've been attacked twice.
Jim, I'm going to mention something without going into too much detail because that one too. Yeah, we've actually had a couple recently attacked in many ways. We've had I've personally seen because I used to run my own paranormal team on my own before I did join Jim. But anyway, I've seen attackings happening all over the place at one time. I've seen people get thrown across the room. I've seen people literally just levitate. I've seen people, like I said, possessed. I've seen a lot. And Jim here as well is also, like you said, been through a lot when it comes to certain attacks. But we're working on trying to get that to be prevented. What I suggest is any team that goes into a case, one, yes, you might have a meeting about it. Yes, you might know what you're doing. But here's what I always say. The thing is, you still never know what you're about to walk into. That's why we suggest to our team members to always come in with a real team, so that way you prepare for what's going to happen. The other thing is, you always want to say a prayer before you walk into an investigation, due to the fact that, because of the attack. We know that we could get attacked. We do I don't know if putting our life on the line every time we go to a case is something. Jim, what do you think? You think that would be something that would
like a first responder?
Yeah. But and that being possessed is a type of attack. They do tend to feed off children or teenagers, because of the fact they go through. You have either because somebody did something really stupid, or you got a child going into they're starting to get older time of their life. They do feed off that kind of thing. So we are fully aware of, this could happen. That could happen. Anything can happen while you're at an investigation.
Jim, do you mind going into detail of one of your attacks that you've had on yourself?
It was not when I was telling you guys about Bachman's. I was up there, and like I said, there was no wind and everything. Actually, I was attacked twice. Not at Bachman's. Once at Bachman's, once in a private residence. When I was attacked at Bachman's, like I said, I heard the door slam and everything. I was semi-possessed. I was fighting with my ex at the time. When we were heading home and everything, I was like, my body was up to with it and everything because being scared. But when I got home, I noticed a big scratch on my stomach. And whoever was trying to do whatever to me, it wouldn't make itself known. The second time when I got attacked, I was actually knocked to the ground. I went outside to gather myself so the client wouldn't see us and everything. And when I came back in, I have a St. Michael pendant that I usually wear when I go out and investigate. When I came into the house and I said, wherever you are, you don't scare me, it knocked it out of my hand and knocked me to the ground. So these things like this is nothing to play with. But I always try to keep my guard up like this, because it's like I attacked twice. I watch whatever I do with this, because it is scary if you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. You are not wrong about that. Things it can become very horrifying. Is it okay to have a fear? Yes, everybody has fears of something. What would life be without fear?
Nothing's like what people watch, like The Conjuring. The Conjuring is true, but some of the movies, there. I've been friends with a lot of celebrity ghost hunters and stuff like that. So I talk to them with advice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's your guys' goal with the Shadows of the Unknown? Like, what is your all-time? What you guys want to do?
Pat and I are working on a project. We're working on doing our own podcast. Right. We're working on a television program to help with this.
Well, and he's also very correct on that as well. We are trying to get our own podcast going. We are also in the works of trying to get a production team that would be willing to take us on, so we could air on television. And let me explain this. Show would be different from any other because of the fact we don't use CGI. There's a lot of shows that will use computer generated images to give the effect of a scare, but that's only CGI. What we do is real. We don't need CGI to prove anything. We carry audio recording. All of it's going to be, but no. So those are our two main projects we're trying to get going here. The podcast would come. We'll be able to come a lot sooner. We're trying to hopefully get it done, actually get it started as soon as we possibly can, because we think this will take off very well. As far as the television or having our scene televised, it's going to be a little bit different because we have two locations and we're in two different parts of, well, I guess you could say, yeah. So we'd have to have double the production, but for the same network. And then eventually, we'll put both of our shows together, and as a crossover, due to the fact that even though it is the same name, we're in two different locations. It would be great.
So I don't know. You guys might have heard the show Mountain Monsters, where they go out and hunt these creatures in the woods. Have you guys ever heard or done any of that?
No.
The thing is, and Jim, I spoke to you about this last night. When it comes to, I don't want to contradict myself here, but I'm going to explain this. When it comes to Bigfoot, I can probably tell you is basically just one big myth. The reason is whenever somebody reports a sighting and then somebody goes out there to take a look, it's very obvious that you're not going to find anything. So you could be there for days and not find anything. So Bigfoot, I'm very skeptical on. And as well as aliens. Aliens, people say, well, I saw an alien guy in my yard or whatever. Again, aliens, we're more of a spiritual side of the paranormal world. That would include, demons, fighting them off. We're more on that side of the paranormal. I'm sure, Jim, if we had a really serious call about God knows what, yeah. I'm sure we'd probably go take a look at it because we're not afraid to look at
pretty much anything.
Yeah. We're just more on as of right now, we're just more on the spiritual side of the paranormal world. Again, the paranormal is the term, I'm going to say this. The definition that I see for the word paranormal is things that can't be explained or identified, or things happen without cause or can't be explained as well. That's anything paranormal. Am I saying that Bigfoot and aliens aren't technically part of the paranormal world? No, I'm not. They definitely are. The thing is, do they really exist? I'm skeptical. Therefore, what I mean is I'm not going to deny it. I am not going to say, it does exist either. I'm just very skeptical. Like a lot of times, a lot of people say the thing about witches. You heard me mention something about a ranch out here in Utah called Skinwalker Ranch. If you don't know what a skinwalker is, I can pretty much tell you it's basically a witch, a form of witch that will take itself and turn itself either into an animal or into a human. And what happens is they usually just scream and cry for help constantly. Once you get close to it, that's where you get a problem because they're vicious. They bite. They eat you. They will eat you. I am kidding you not. And So a witch isn't really from the demon world, but it's part of the dark world. There's really no difference in the demon world or dark world, but again, when it comes to witches do exist. There has been proof of that. Can I physically prove that now? No. Can you possibly find it on YouTube of a witch? Yes, but you got to be very careful because you can tell if it's fake. But witches, they do exist, definitely. That's why there's witchcraft out there.
Has there ever been a case where like someone's called you where you had to tell them you can't do it because it was like too dangerous?
No one gets turned away.
Exactly, and the thing is, our cases at this point, to a point, we don't care how dangerous it's going to be. That's why we're looking into it. That's why, we
see when the child is involved, we always put that top of the list. We've been working on this case for the last couple of months now, and we top of the list.
We have a case right now that does involve a child, and of course her grandmother. But like Jim said, this is a case that we've worked on for months now, and every day I could just tell you this, and Jim, you could verify that every day this case gets worse and worse and worse.
Have you ever had to leave a case because it was too dangerous?
No. The only time, I honestly believe the only time too dangerous is to the point where we feel or me or Jim feel that it's physically going to, a spirit will physically jump inside you or physically harm you. Basically take possession of you or try to physically kill you. Then that's when we kind of put a stop on it for a while, but we'll go right back to it when things have calmed down. So even then, no, we won't leave a case because of it being too dangerous. We might temporarily put a pause on it, but then we'll go right back to doing it after things calm down. Because again, especially when cases include a child, because again, children are very vulnerable. So are teenagers. It's all especially again with teenagers. What a demonic spirit will feed off of is actually puberty. Believe it or not, when a teenage female goes through puberty, they'll feed off that. When a male teenager goes through what they go through, they feed off that. Because to them, to the demon world, it's a very negative energy. But to the human world, it's normal. It's a very good thing. It means you're growing older. But yeah. And the thing is, children also, just children, not teenagers, children, they are vulnerable because they're smaller. And I think I know it's going to be probably asked next. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But have I ever done an exorcism on a child? No. Will I? Probably not. Let me tell you why. When a child becomes possessed, it's more dangerous. Well, it's just as dangerous as doing it on a teenager or on an adult. They can die very quickly from doing an exorcism on a child. So I won't do that. I will. I don't think it's safe to do that. Well, what do? I basically wait till they get to a certain age. Once they're at that age, hopefully it's very close. Once they get to a certain age, then I will do an exorcism on them.
So we're almost out of time here, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. That was really interesting.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. again, and if you or anybody else have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. My number's on our Facebook page, and Jim, his phone number's on his. Same name, different location.
Yeah, we're gonna list your website on our Eagle Eye under the podcast, so people can visit your website and check it out.
Yes,
Yep,
thank you.
and like I said, don't be afraid to ask questions, because that's what we're here for. Yep.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll catch you later.
Yep. You too. Yep.
Yep. All right, hold up, guys. What did you guys think about that?
That was
Very interesting.
very interesting.
That was very interesting. Well, like I said, we're almost out of time, so we'll see you guys in the next episode. We are going to link their website on the next post about our podcast on the Eagle Eye, so stay tuned for that.
If you guys have any ghost stories, hit up TCAM and we'll get you on the podcast to tell your story.
Yeah, the next podcast will be about students and faculty, about witnessing their ghost stories, and they're going to sit down and tell us about that. So we'll see you next time.